Modest by not standing when I called for the teachers to stand. Rich Jensen in his former life was in teaching and administration. So Rich, and he has a second life of business, but we want to show our appreciation for Rich's good work over the years too. Yeah, I'm sure there are thousands of funny stories that teachers could share with all of us, but I did read a couple the other day. One elementary class was asked to name a famous explorer, and the first answer out of one of the child's mouth was Dora. One middle class chorus was attempting to perform Mozart. After a few uninspired attempts, an exasperated student raised her hand and said, "Mrs. Willis, we want to sing from our generation and not yours." And then there was one parent who was concerned that her child's swimming towel was missing when he returned home from school one day after a field trip. The parent called the teacher, quite upset, wondering if it had been actually stolen by one of the classmates. "I'm sure it was just an accident," the teacher said. "What does it look like?" "Well, it's white," said the parent, "and it has Holiday Inn on it." Well, I still enjoy receiving one of my former church's monthly newsletters, which avails me to new thoughts and ideas of this metropolitan Twin Cities congregation. It also keeps me abreast of the people that I have known well over the years when I began my career at House of Hope Presbyterian Church as an assistant pastor. On the back page of this newsletter, there always appears a section for baptisms, and as always appears a section called In Memoriam, recognizing those who have passed on to eternity. But for the last year, I've been hesitant to look at the back page for fear of seeing the name of a man to whom I was very close and to whom I have neglected to reach out to in the past couple years. Clyde was a significant mentor to me in the earliest years of my ministry, a Navy fighter pilot in World War II, Minneapolis stockbroker in his working career, and a deeply devoted Presbyterian churchman. Clyde was about as no-nonsense as they get. As a matter of fact, he was so no-nonsense, that he had propensity to rub people the wrong way. But if he liked you, there was no more loyal friend. So when I heard that Clyde's wife had passed away a couple years ago, and that he had moved into a retirement village in St. Paul, I always meant to give him a call. I always meant to pick up that phone to see how Clyde was doing and to express my sympathy over his wife's passing, and to at least write a note to tell him that I was thinking about him. And every time I would receive that church's monthly newsletter, especially in the last 6 months, I feared that I might see Clyde's name on that back page before I finally got around to giving him a call to tell him how much of an impact he had on my early life. But it was much more important, you see. In other words, a phone call or a note to him was not at the top of my priority list. It was much more important to watch an inning of a Royals game. It was much more important than pulling some weeds in front of my yard. It was much more important than reading a newspaper. It was much more important than reading a chapter in a book. It was much more important than taking the early morning run. So finally, after months of not looking forward to looking at that back page of the church's newsletter, I tracked down Clyde's daughter to get some contact information for him. I was able to reach her, but she said the words I didn't want to hear. "You're about a month too late. My dad is in the memory care unit. A month ago, he might have remembered you. Today, probably not." There was a poet who wrote, "There's only one day left, always starting over. It's given to us at dawn and taken away from us at dusk." And so it is when dusk settles in. Not only is it a lovely time of the day, but it should also be a reflective time of the day. Did I achieve what is important in the human scope of things, or did I spend a disproportionate amount of time in things that really don't matter in the long run? The day is done. You can't reset it. Night is settling in. Whose life did I make a difference in today, or whose life did I overlook again? I like the passage in Luke read for us this morning by Robin. On the surface, it doesn't appear to connect directly with what has just been said, but its underlying message teaches us that it's not enough to do what is only expected of us, to do the bare minimum, to perform in our jobs, to take care of our families, or to be nice and considerate to others, or to be good citizens, or to go to church every Sunday. But really, how much are you willing to touch another person's life in ways that go beyond what is expected? Clyde never expected me to call, but I should expect myself to call. The passage makes this principle very clear. The servant talked about in this passage is really you and I. When a servant comes in from the field, he has finished his day's work, but his day's work is what is expected from him. He doesn't get a pat on the back or an attaboy for just doing his job. It would be like praising your child for doing a simple chore around the house, taking out the trash or washing the dishes or cutting the grass. He or she is only doing what is expected of him or her, contributing to the commonwealth of the family, as you and I are expected to contribute to the commonwealth of the kingdom of God by our faithfulness in church and our service to others. As Jesus concludes the parable, we are ordinary servants. We have only done our duty. But what is truly pleasing to God is when we touch another person's life in a truly meaningful way. But we know that the days pass by quickly, and before we know it, it's too late. Dusk has settled in. The day has come to a close. As one of our members said, you can't buy it back. It's not for sale anymore. It's been taken off the market that day that just passed. But you and I know it's within our reach every day to seize the moment with a phone call, a thoughtful letter, a kind gesture, an act of friendship, a relationship built, which could affect another person's life in a very meaningful way. Jeff and Kim, in their work with CASA, have made a difference in someone's life. They're not waiting until tomorrow. They're doing it today. And we know that every day that goes by without contributing to another life, the window becomes almost shut at times. And you find yourself saying, oh, my life was paved with such good intentions. Why didn't I follow through with those same intentions? I watched a friend of mine for years take care of the needs of his mother, as many of you have done too. When she was living in Nebraska, he and his wife would visit her consistently, take care of her home repair needs, encourage the grandchildren to stay in touch with their grandmother, bring her to Manhattan for special occasions, and finally bring her here permanently, and then go to church every Sunday until her passing not too long ago. These friends, as many of you do too, realize that the seasons of life pass quickly, and there's no better time to enjoy and to appreciate and to love them than the present. Speaking of seasons, I don't think there's any more beautiful month in Manhattan than October. The pleasantly warm temperatures, the cool mornings, the bright sunshine and the blue skies, the haze in the sky, and of course the maples and the oaks and the cottonwoods all showing off their beautiful colors. And every October, I find myself not wanting to let go of October. Here we are on the 18th, you only have 13 days left. So I must make it a point to take in the beauty, to savor the season, to stop long enough to catch the colors and feel the warmth of the sunshine before it's too late. Because we know that in 2 or 3 weeks there perhaps could come a strong November wind that could strip the leaves from their trees with little notice, and before we know it, they're gone, and winter takes its early hold. Fall is the perfect parable of all that fades. We know there will be another autumn next year, but we don't know if there will be another season of opportunity to touch someone else's life. The phone call that you wanted to make for many years, the letter you intended to write, the words you wanted to say, the gift you wanted to share, the love you wanted to give, the reconciliation that you wanted to offer. As the writer in Ecclesiastes wrote, there is a time for every season, a time for every matter under heaven. We conduct our daily duties every day. We do what is expected of us. But God doesn't want us to miss the season that truly rises above other seasons in the breadth of meaning and understanding. In many ways, God doesn't want us to live with any regrets about what could have been, especially in our relationship with others. I don't think there's any stronger, more impactful statement in this regard than the one read for us this morning, again by Robin, in 2 Timothy. We've heard this story before. The Apostle Paul has reached the end of his journey in life, and he writes a letter to his beloved and trusted friend Timothy, who he has implored to come see him. Do your best, Paul writes, to come to me soon. In other words, come to me before it's too late, before my time on death row runs out. As we have said before, no one knows if Timothy dropped what he was doing after he receives Paul's letter and made it a priority to visit his old friend before the gauntlet came down. Did he rationalize away why he couldn't make it? Too much church business to take care of? Too many pressing demands on my schedule? Not enough time in the day? Rome's too far away? It remains one of the biggest mysteries of the Bible. Did Timothy make it to Rome to see Paul before he died or not? But there is no mystery in Paul's valedictory at the end. It has a tone of a man satisfied and fulfilled that he has done the right things with his relationship to God and in his relationship to others, that he has not waited to do them. He has accepted his fate at the end with confidence and assurance that he has met not only his own expectations in life, but he has met God's expectations to not miss the windows of opportunity that greatly impact lives with remembrance and gratitude and the call to receive Christ. Listen again to those familiar words in the Good News translation. The hour has come for me to be sacrificed. The time is here for me to leave this life. I have done my best in the race. I have run the full distance. I have kept the faith. And now there is waiting for me a prize of victory for this righteous life. Isn't that the goal for each and every one of us as Christians? That you reach life's end and you can say to yourself, I have done my best in the race. I have run the full distance. I have kept the faith. And you and I are on our way to doing our best in the race when we don't put off any longer what we can do today. Going back to Timothy for just a second. Consider the end of Timothy's life. Did it end with restlessness and regret, or did it end with peace and fulfillment that he made the journey to Rome to make that last visit to his trusted friend? The end of the story with my friend in the Twin Cities. After his daughter told me that I was a month too late, I still asked her for a contact number for her father at the Presbyterian Homes in St. Paul. She gave me the nurse's number, which I called one late afternoon. I asked for Clyde. Well, I explained that I was aware of his condition and that I had served as one of his pastors a long time ago. She said, sure, Clyde's right here. You want to talk to him? Clyde got on the phone and said hello. Then I identified myself as Cam McConnell from Manhattan, Kansas. He said, who? I said, Cam McConnell from Manhattan, Kansas. Then he said, the minister. I said, yes. Then he said to me, I'm 94 years old. I don't know what I'm doing in this place. Someone is taking care of your needs, I said to Clyde. And let me say, too, how much I appreciated, Clyde, the impact and the influence that you had on my life. Then he said, well, that's so nice of you to say. He said, let's have lunch again sometime. I said, yes, we will. Yes, we will. Robert Frost wrote in his Promises to Keep, "The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have miles to go before I sleep."